Welcome to the In the Galaxy podcast, Technology in the Galaxy. I'm here with my boy Jay Williams. What up, Jay? Jay? Are you frozen? Or are you just...
You are frozen. You're frozen. Hopefully, I know the people listening to this can't see it, but you're frozen like this.
with my hand up like the puppet from NSYNC when they did their album No Strings Attached is what it looks like.
Or as I like to think about it, like the way it looks when a white person is about to dunk over somebody who's like...
I think we should probably tell our viewers that I don't know. I don't think I want to put the video up anymore. So it's just a lot of work.
You just commit right before the podcast. We were talking about. I think I just won't put as much into it. Now you're just like, I'm not going to do it.
Oh no, no, I think you're right. Yeah, I'll put the videos up. Yeah, I'll put the videos up. I'm just not going to do the intros.
I mean, really, all you have to do is
drag and drop.
Really, yeah. I mean, it doesn't take that much, but
yeah, you're right, man. But
I'm
so
gonna hold you accountable. But I know where you're going with that.
I know how you are about holding me accountable.
Yeah. So
we can't talk about that though. Or we shouldn't.
You make it sound like you have like a coke problem or something. But
I'll get into that more later.
Okay.
Michael
doesn't have a coke problem. He's being
no, I don't.
But no, we are on iTunes now.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to Jay. You are the man.
Audio podcast.
We're syndicated, right? Are we syndicated? Does that mean we're syndicated?
No, I don't. You said that at one point, but you don't. You don't have to be syndicated at all. No. But anybody that wants to record themselves farting in a microphone can put it up on iTunes for people to download and listen to. So, which is actually what this podcast is. So we're on the right track.
I've been just eating burritos all day and holding it in, just getting ready for this tonight.
Fartcast. GilkyWayGalaxy.com. But no, we are on iTunes. You can subscribe to us. Subscribing and commenting and rating, all that stuff helps us, but we don't really care. But we look forward to putting out a ton of content every single week.
Yeah.
At least probably 3 episodes. We record an hour and a half, 3 30-minute segments at a time. So that's a lot of content for people. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot more about YouTube channels. I'm just amazed at how people make money off of YouTube channels. Like my friend Kevin, he does a show for T Radio V called Let's Get Digital, which I would recommend people check out. They have some good guests on there. They had a Revenge of the Nerds reunion. It was pretty sick, like sick of good. But like they had one girl on there that talked about making money off viral YouTube videos. I mean, not like in a bad way. Like music videos.
That's cool. I don't mean to cut you off, but just now when you were talking, I was reminded of what your outfit reminds me of. You look like Tum Tum from the Three Ninjas. For anybody not watching this, Michael is wearing an orange button-down shirt, and the shade of it, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But if anybody's ever seen
College Orange,
okay, it's also Tum Tum Orange. But when we were kids, there was a movie called Three Ninjas, and it was a trilogy about these 3 white brothers who had an Asian grandfather, which didn't make any fucking sense. But he
what? That we just took that for granted. Then we're like,
that makes sense. Yeah,
their grandfather's from China.
Wasn't it?
That makes sense.
I was about to suggest some. Never mind. I was about to suggest something. We'll talk about it off air.
We censor ourselves.
Yeah,
we
we
should
do.
just let it go.
So, but no, Tum Tum wore an orange gi, and hence, yeah, okay. So,
And since you called me out on it, I got to show my matching socks.
yeah,
Right there.
Michael's wearing orange socks for
Damn
those
it,
listening on iTunes.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks good.
Like,
looks good.
Yeah, it's a little darker than the shirt, but man, I'm like freaking The Graduate. I'm like Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate. Should putting my leg in this shot if you can't see.
Yeah, this is very strange.
This is really going off the rails. This is
It's podcast gold. Okay, so I'm sorry that I interrupted you. You were I don't even remember what you were talking about, but you were talking about streaming, and which is kind of the topic, the subject of this week's segment is kind of streaming, and you were talking about YouTube channels.
Oh yeah, this girl basically, her YouTube videos went viral, and she made enough money off of them to hire a staff of people, like a staff of people that just monitor her YouTube channel, and they release like a video a week, and she's just able to pay people, and that's the only thing that she does. That's the only, like, how amazing would it be if Jay, this was our job, if we were just like,
that would be awesome. I mean,
yeah, that's what we do.
To follow up on that just a little bit, there was a project that YouTube undertook a few years ago. I don't remember what it was called, but it had something to do with, they pretty much gathered a handful of potential YouTube channels that they thought were going to do good or that they wanted to invest money in, and they offered them a bunch of money as a grant to get their channel off the ground. And for instance, there's one called Kick TV on YouTube, which is a soccer channel run by Jimmy Conrad, who is an ex-U.S. men's national team player, ex-MLS star, or ex-MLS, player. And he kind of ran it. And I think it started with just like a handful of people in front of a green screen reading news. But now they, like you were saying, they have their own office. They travel and they do all kinds of stuff. But and then just one other part of YouTube story-wise, there's this guy. His name is, I can't remember his name. His name is Jaye. I don't know his last name, but
it doesn't matter what your name is.
He's on YouTube, and that
was The Rock, by the way. Sorry.
Gotcha. He's an English lad, and he basically started a YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is KSI LGBT. I know you won't, nobody will remember that.
LGBTQ? Is that
no,
what you're?
No, like, it's African. It's KSI LGBT. But anyways, that's beside the point.
Funga alafia ashe ashe.
That might have just offended many people, but anyways, basically he started a YouTube channel where he just played FIFA, the video game FIFA, and did a commentary over it, and it was really funny, and he's really hilarious, and he's one of the biggest YouTube people out there, and all he did was play fucking video games. So you can get gigantic doing anything. He makes a lot of money doing it, so yeah, it's just like content creation, because what we're doing right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Just hobnobbing each other off stuff, and some people listen to
hobnobbing each other.
I guess it's just jumping back and forth, riffing off of one another.
Okay. I've never heard. Well, I don't know. I've heard that term, but I don't know.
It kind of sounds sexual. I meant for it to sound more like bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Think tank.
Yeah, think tank. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think it would be cool if it was just like, man, because it just kind of shows you what we can do when we put our creativity to the test. When like we really force ourselves to be innovative and think of a new idea, something that just nobody's thought of before yet. And that brings me back to the Steve Jobs quote. Everything around us was created by no one smarter than yourself. So if you just look around, everything was created by someone no smarter than yourself. Right. So you can do anything. Now, I would argue there's a lot of dumb people that that just don't contribute anything to society. But I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can relate it to I can relate it to graphic design. I mean, you know, the graphic design as a job, as a hobby, as whatever you want to think of it as, it is a very oversaturated. It's very oversaturated. There's a lot of people that go to school for it. There's a lot of people out there doing it. There's a lot of people applying for jobs and competing for jobs. But here's the thing. You, myself, my roommate John, anybody can purchase graphic design software, Photoshop, Illustrator,
Yes.
Any design programs, and they can learn how to use those programs. They're, just like playing a piano. Anybody can learn how to play the piano if they want to.
But not everybody's good at it.
Exactly. But here's the thing. The one thing that you can't teach is creativity. The ideas that come, if somebody tells me, I want you to do this, then I can do that for them. But as a graphic designer, people trust my judgment from my, body of work that I've done in the past, that I can put my own creative spin on it and my own expertise to deliver them an even better product that they had an idea for. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And that just gave me an idea. You said something I wanted to touch on there that I thought was brilliant. It's called, you can't teach creativity is what you said.
Yes.
But the ironic thing is, I think you can teach non-creativity. I think it's so easy to teach somebody to not be creative. I think from the moment that we're 3-year-old kids, we're being taught to be non-creative.
I agree.
It's just like, no, don't do that. That's stupid. What are you going to do when you grow up? Like the job that I do now, like it like wasn't around 50 years ago, No,
I agree. I think I think the whole state of the public school system, which we're getting into a little bit of a political discussion, but that's beside the point. I think the whole state of public schools these days pretty much squanders creative thinking. You know what I mean? I mean, we're taught to, as a it's a fairly communist idea. We're all as a group taught to work together to achieve the one common goal, to up those test grades. You know what I mean? Those standard test grades.
And they assume that everybody learns the same.
Exactly. Yeah, they do that. And in college, my favorite classes that I ever took, and even in high school, were either the ones A, where I was creating something and being creative, or B, where the whole idea of the class was centered around what we're doing right now, discussion.
Yes.
There's not this. You're not going, bullet point A, B, C, D, E. You're saying, okay, here's an idea. Let's discuss it. And we talk about it. People debate it. People refute it. People agree with it. People expand upon it.
Some people are master debaters. Some people are not master debaters. They need more practice.
Exactly right. But the point I'm trying to make is that those types of classes, those are the ones that promote creativity, where in public schools today, it's like, here's a rubric, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. We're going to move on to this. There's a little bit of discussion that's sparked there, but I don't know.
Well, one of my favorite speakers is a guy by the name of Sir Ken Robinson, and everybody should go and check out Changing Educational Paradigms. I showed this to all my students, whether they were in 6th grade or 12th grade, and everywhere in between, even college age. And but this guy, Sir Ken Robinson, he basically talks about the American school system, about how it was invented during the time of the Industrial Revolution. Therefore, it still has all the things based on an industry that we have now, like bells. We have bells. That's very industrial. The concept of grades is like an assembly line in a factory. You're assembling each kid. You're saying, oh, this is what you need to do now. And it's just strictly time regimented as well. And I just don't think it's a great place for creativity. And I've been in the teaching field for, a little bit, both here and in Australia. And man, it's really hard to reach a kid that just doesn't give a shit about, what you have to teach them. It's like your job. That's the hardest thing about that job, is that if somebody doesn't give a shit about what you're trying to get them to do, it's hard. You have to. That's what I liked about it, is the challenge of just getting somebody engaged that doesn't give two shits about whatever it is you're doing, your job.
I mean, I don't know if I've talked about it on this podcast or not. I feel like I have, but there's a whole idea right now that because of the internet, no pun intended to the album title of the same name, but
Thank you, Childish Gambino, Donald Glover.
Because of the internet, that kids are now having trouble holding their attention spans in school because they realize that basically teachers teach things on a week or a multi-week type of system. They go through a chapter every 2 weeks or something like that, or whatever it is. And kids are like, look, I can go on the internet and learn this in a day if I want to. You know what I mean? Like, the internet propels us, accelerates us, our learning a lot quicker. I mean, I've learned, I can learn so much on my own that I don't need to go to a class for it. I think kids are actually starting to find that stuff out.
And one professor that I'm working with is having his students do Wikipedia projects, and it's really cool because they're creating actual Wikipedia accounts, and they're making additions to things. Like this guy knew a comic book.
Awesome.
He knew this comic book artist, and he's just like, I went to his page, and it had nothing on it. So he created an account, and he went to it, and he's actually adding content to this page.
Man.
And I think that's the awesome part about Wikipedia, is that so many people can just edit and add things. But I mean, people say you're going to screw it up, but hell, I mean, there's so many people that care, that want to do good with the product. It's like the newspaper industry. It's just like, well, you got to give it to my editor. Nah. But it's like everybody's an editor now.
Yeah, I mean, that's oh man, that's such an interesting point that you bring up, because when I was in college, Wikipedia was so poo-pooed, it's not even funny. Like,
oh yeah,
they were not like, teachers were not on board with it. Because the
stigma.
The stigma is that anybody can change it. Anybody can change it. That is the truth to a certain extent, but Wikipedia has an incredible staff and group of people that work in contingent with them that regulate that website.
Oh yeah,
and check and fact check and go in. I mean, they can't do everything. There obviously might be some stray points that anybody that goes on there and just reads something and thinks that is 100% fact. I mean, you're an idiot. Like, you need to get obviously some additional support.
I believe everything that people tell me.
Well, I mean, do you use Wikipedia?
Yeah, of course. I was an English teacher, and I had kids have to do research papers where they conduct research, and I just straight up told them all. I could see all the people in the field being like, "Oh, he's a terrible teacher. He doesn't know his pedagogy." Oh, and I'm just like, shut up. But point, I would just straight up tell the kids, I'm like, look, if you don't know anything about this topic, then go to Wikipedia, read up on it. Find those sources that Wikipedia is using. Go to those sources, and then make sure that they're reliable. Make sure that it's, like a Time magazine with like a professional journalist or somebody that knows the craft of journalism, and make sure it's a professional, and instead of like Perez Hilton's freaking trashy blog where he just makes I don't know, Perez, whatever.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's a great point. I mean, it's the thing about Wikipedia is it's a summation, of the topic of whatever idea that you're actually looking up. I mean, man, I will spend hours, and I mean hours on Wikipedia, like surfing from one thing to another and just learning about stuff, man. Like, I love Wikipedia. And have you ever tried to actually edit a Wikipedia page yourself?
Yeah. I edited that comic book. It's actually Mark Badger is his name. I just recalled his name, Mark Badger. You can go to Wikipedia and look up Mark Badger. I did some art for Marvel Comics. But yeah, I mean, I actually had to make sure that it was factual, because I don't know a lot about comic books. but I respect comic books. I respect the art of images and the art of storytelling, but I didn't know anything about it. So I went to the page and I'm just like, oh, I Googled him, and it's like, oh, well, he did a Marvel comic cover. So I was like, oh, well, here's a link to the Marvel comic cover. And then I went to Wikipedia and I was like, Mark Badger helped design this comic book cover, and I put a link into it, and it took it to the Marvel comic link, and I was like, yeah, I did it.
And there's an actual, it's not just as easy as just changing it. You can't just hit edit and change it. I mean, there's a little bit of.
You have to read all these terms and conditions.
Yeah, and there's a little bit
of account.
There's actually some coding behind it too.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. There's so much coding. I actually teach the coding to a lot of students, but I mean, it's just like there's so many end tags and the references. Like to add the references, the code for that is so cool.
Yeah, so that's my point. Is it's not as easy as people like to make it out to be.
Right.
I think that it's a great, I mean, look, here's the thing. If I want to know about something right now, right this second, I'll go on Wikipedia and I'll learn a little bit about it.
Yeah.
Am I going to know everything about it? No, absolutely not. But I'm at least going to have an idea. I'm going to have enough information to at least have a semi-educational response in a conversation with somebody because I know what it's talking about. And that's the great thing about the internet now, is that before we used to say, oh, well, I think that, I think that computers were made 500 years ago. And people were like, nah, I think it was made 200 years ago. Well, guess what? Now we have a black brick in our pocket that we can actually look that shit up on. So
exactly.
Enough with your stupid, I don't know when this was. Get out your phone, look it up, because that's all you got to do.
Oh, that reminds me. I have to go back and do a retraction. We were talking about CBS and Viacom.
I knew this was coming. So many different. When I go back and listen to these podcasts, I'm like, yeah, we're going to have to address that at some point. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong about that. I think Viacom owns CBS, correct?
Yes, they also own MTV and Nickelodeon and some others as well. Yeah,
but that recent, I wasn't current with that. I definitely was not. I was like, no, Kevin Bacon was not in Footloose. But no, you can look it up. And I looked it up and I was like, I was so damn wrong.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we'll both have to learn. But
is that it's like we'll just riff.
We'll just put it out on the internet. People believe it, whatever they say. So, I mean, I don't know. Because the internet is so free and open, and thank God it is, and that's amazing that it is. You do have to have a little bit of you have to filter, and you have to prorate the things that you take in information. Us as individuals, and we've talked about this before, but us as individuals, we have to basically decide for ourselves what we consider a reliable source. So if Joe Bob is tweeting about, the coach of the Dallas Mavericks got fired this week, and I'm like, well, Joe Bob also claims to know a lot about aliens, so he's obviously full of shit. But and then I see somebody else come out, Rick Daniels comes out and says,
did you just make that up?
Yeah, I did.
Did you just make up Rick Daniels?
Yeah,
some people make up lies, but you just made up a person, a fictional character.
That was easy, just two first names. Anyways, Rick Daniels says it, and he's actually pretty on top with his NBA knowledge, so I'm going to believe Rick Daniels.
Rick Daniels, bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, but that's kind of a good segue. I don't know how much time we have left, but
got about 6 minutes before we hit the 30-minute mark.
You want to go on? Michael was talking a little bit about Mark Cuban, telling me a little bit of a story behind him. Do you want to share that story with our viewers?
Oh yeah, I was watching this thing on Netflix about it's called Bloomberg Game Changers, and they did one on Jay-Z, Warren Buffett, Mark Cuban, and this was around the time when the internet is just new. It was like brand new, and Google wasn't even out. Like if you wanted to search for the Atlanta Braves game schedule, then if you went to a search site before Google, then it would take you like 20 minutes to find the Atlanta Braves schedule. It'd be like, Atlanta per capita, Atlanta dirty. You would just have to go for hours just to get this. So
Atlanta Dirty is my favorite website, by the way. Just letting you know.
I wonder if that really is a website.
It probably is.
when we're listening to this again, we're gonna go back and be like, oh yeah, Atlanta Dirty. That's
get on whatchamacallit, GoDaddy and buy that domain right now.
But yeah, my point was I just wanted to set the tone for what the internet was like then, because it was just brand new. It's just like because Google, the people that developed Google, their innovation was just so key. They were like, we want to take all of the information on the internet and we want to organize it, and we want to do it in a freaking awesome way. That's innovative. Well, with Mark Cuban, he was just a sports fan, and I didn't do enough research on where he grew up, but but
someone got to fact check later.
Yeah, but I just know he lived in Texas and he liked to keep up with baseball. So what did he do? He just developed a website where people could go to listen to all their favorite sports teams. Because like if you were a Minnesota Twins fan and you're living in Texas, you couldn't listen to any of the Twins games. Right. And I know for me, like I'm not a huge Kentucky basketball fan, but I'm a Kentucky basketball fan, you know, and I lived in Australia for a year, and I live in California, and people don't give a shit about Kentucky basketball in California. They're more worried about the Niners or the it's the A's a little bit, not so much the Raiders.
San Jose Earthquakes.
Yes, the San Jose Earthquakes. Quake shake. Goonies never say die. But like, right. But I mean, you're just Goonies reference. That's awesome. We have a Three Ninjas and a Goonies reference. This day is now officially complete.
Continue, Tum Tum.
Rocky loves Emily. Anyway, so Mark Cuban just threw all this stuff up on the website. Yahoo bought it for millions, and that's how he got his start. He made enough money to buy the Dallas Mavericks. He bought a basketball team just from that money.
Like Jay-Z did, and that's we already know my thoughts about that. So.
Yeah, we know how you feel about his music.
And I also commented about his decision to buy the New Jersey Nets too, but that's
the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, it was the New Jersey Nets. But
yeah, it was. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. He's done a little bit for them.
Is Jason Kidd coaching their basketball team?
I think I don't know if he's the head coach. I think he's involved somehow.
Well, that's issue number one. That's issue number one I have.
First of all,
he didn't even win a title. Yeah, he did win a title. He won a title with Dallas, actually. So. Well,
I think it was on the Celtics too. These fucking sports fans are just gonna be like, no, he was on the.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
He was on the Suns. He was on so many teams.
Yeah.
He's like, he had to play for at least over 20 years basketball. I mean,
and something we're gonna have to fact check. All right, Tum Tum. Well, I think that wraps up this episode.
There was something else that I wanted to mention about.
And we'll see you all later. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, don't fade me out with your cool beat. The cool beat that you put on this.
Yeah,
it's an awesome beat. I don't think they know that we make beats and stuff.
You've actually mentioned it multiple times.
But like, they don't know.
I appreciate that.
They don't know how serious we are about it. Of where it's just like, oh well. What were you talking about before we started about, oh yeah, this beat was 149 RPMs per second or something.
175 BPM. Yeah.
What is a BPM?
It's a beat. Oh no. Here we go. Yeah, it's a beats per minute. It's very fast. 120 is pretty standard for most. Not most. It's 120 is standard for a lot of more up and down pop songs. Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood is 120 BPM. I think I could be wrong about that. Shit, that's another thing.
This is so
I think
hard.
it is. I know. I think it's 120 BPM, whereas How on that record, the first track, is only like 72 BPM because it's a little bit more slow tempo. But it could be doubled to 154. Yeah, 154 BPM, which is the same thing. So.
Muy interesante, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, they're also going to fact check you on your Spanish. So.
It's terrible Spanish.
That's all right. Yeah.
Well,
was there another point you wanted to make, or?
No, I can't remember it. It was in the middle of one of your soliloquies, and I was like, yeah, and then I lost it. It's okay.
Well, next we got 2 record reviews coming up on our next 2 episodes. Which one are we going to do first?
We are going to do Kendrick Lamar first, and then we're going to follow up with Bon Iver's self-titled album.
Good. All right. Well, Tum Tum. It was nice chatting with you.
3 ninjas. Rocky Loves Emily and Colt. We didn't shout out Colt. And the
Hulk Hogan, who was in the third one.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was.
But really, how is their grandfather Asian when they were both obviously European? All of them.
How were there 3 Surf Ninja movies? No, wait, not Surf Ninja movies. I'm sorry. No. Oh no, that's the other one. How are there 3? Look, my roommate's here. Doesn't Michael look like Tum Tum from the 3 Ninjas?
Tum Tum was a bitch.
Okay, John's drunk.
We're trying to.
It was Colt, Tum Tum, and who's the other one?
Rocky. Rocky Loves Emily.
Rocky Loves Emily, yeah. John, that beard is just out of control, brother. I love it.
I knew that on one podcast John was going to barge in here.
I love how he's just towering over you like a lumberjack. Yeah. We're just like, you're my bitch.
What are you guys talking about?
Well, we were talking about
purple-headed mushroom slingers.
We were talking about technology, which he's just now finding out about. So
technology. What are y'all talking about? Pocket pussies or what?
And this is why we're explicit on iTunes.
That's exactly right.
What did he say?
He said that's why we're explicit on iTunes. I think. I think. Anyways, that's probably where we should.
Let's hit him with the next.
So we're already over on time.
Yep. So we're gonna hit Kendrick Lamar's album next.
We're in California.
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar's album next. Bon Iver. Stay tuned for In the Galaxy. Bye, Michael.
Bye, Jay. Bye, John.